Hello, Megan.
Hello, Michelle.
Welcome to Spicy Brain
Podcast.
Oh, where we are navigating neurodiversity with
Curiosity, joy, and radical acceptance.
high kick. Okay.
High kick. Oh, you like my little high kick?
I do. When you say that, it makes me want you
High
to say it
kick.
all the time.
Okay, I'll do that.
So welcome to anybody who's new. We're so happy you're joining us today. We just absolutely love to do this podcast together. And we're so happy for anyone who's also returning. We got a couple of our regulars that we talk to quite often, actually, which is so fun. We get to actually interact with our community and some great friends that we've made and some that have joined that we knew from before. So it's so amazing. We
cool.
do also want you to look at us on Facebook. And Megan, you say it so well, so I'll pass it to you.
Yeah, come like us on Spicy Brain Studios and come chat with us because that's where we're getting questions and chatting with people and letting you know all the weird stuff that happens that's outside of this podcast.
Absolutely. And we really focus right now on ADHD. And that's because, Meg, your brain was diagnosed with that, or you as a person, I suppose, were diagnosed with that kind of, what was it, high school, I think you said.
High school.
Yeah. And
when I came out of the womb.
You were undeniable for sure from about 2 years old on. But
did you know, Michelle, do you remember, like, the story goes that I had such a strong heartbeat that they thought that I was going to be a boy?
Yes. I do remember that.
Yeah.
I remember them not having a girl's name ready because they didn't check the sex at the time. You know, they couldn't see. And so they didn't, I think that they had to kind of come up with that girl's name kind of at the end. Yeah. And we usually kind of go through some kind of a story. We're definitely in a book series right now as well. And we sort of talk through a story, then we like dig into that brain of yours. And then usually we check with our community to see if they have any, input for us as well. So we're currently on a book called Your Brain Is Not Broken.
By Tamara Rosier, PhD.
Oh, thank you for saying that so lovely. I always get the name. I'm unsure about it.
I don't know if that's actually how she says her name, but I just have confidence.
Yeah, you say it so confidently. And I'm always like, so I let you do it. That's absolutely true. And we've been going kind of chapter by chapter. And this chapter, I'm going to have us bring up a little concept here, a little story that you have from this week that will illustrate, I think, this book. But the chapter itself is called Malicious Motivation.
Ooh, good alliteration.
Yeah. And I want to just kind of ask you to talk a little bit about something you had to do this week, which I know is your favorite thing ever, making a slide deck, is on the top of your list of fun things to do. And I want you just to kind of walk us through. Somebody said, okay, we need a slide deck. And you said, what?
Absolutely. Actually, I was excited because it's all about stress management. And I was like, this is going to be great because I'm going to put my spin on a slide deck and show them how it really should be. What actual slides should be as opposed to like death by PowerPoint. So I make the slides and I've got all of my notes in, like, I have it all written out basically in the notes, the presenter notes.
Yeah.
And then I've got like my little bit of information. And I send it in. I actually got it done quickly because I was super excited about it. Okay. And then it comes back to me and they're like, okay, so this is great, but could you make another set that has a lot of more of that, the presenter notes in the actual slides, because there are going to be people who don't actually make it to the presentation. And that's why they have to read the slides, which just is dumb. Like, why not just send something never mind. So, needless to say, I kind of worked on it a bit and then I got to a certain point and then I was just like, also lots of stuff happened. Yeah. And then I finally was just like, F it. Like, I'm just not going to work on it anymore because I'm sure that someone eventually will tell me that it needs to be done. Then I'll get it finished. So I would say I probably got 75% of it done one day, but that extra 25, I was just like, I just don't want to finish this.
Okay, this aligns perfectly with this chapter. So let me just read this to you for a second, okay? So in the chapter, she quotes Dr. Russell Barkley, who's a well-known expert in ADHD, and he says, ADHD is more about loss of interest and motivation than attention and concentration. The key to getting things done is to see the emotions involved and learn how to redirect them. Oh, look at you. You are already completely lost. So,
wait, I have
ADHD
a question, Michelle.
is more about loss of interest. So you have lost interest in what I'm saying.
I do have a question, though.
And it's more about loss of motivation to keep talking about this thing. Because you now have Larry the llama out. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your question, Megan?
Michelle, when you read these things, like so you're sitting in bed. Like, where do you read? Do you sit in bed? Do you are you on a chair? Where are you at?
No, I'm at a table.
Visual.
I'm at a table.
You're at a table.
And I'm taking notes.
Oh.
I'm listening to it because I have a hard time reading. Right.
Impressive. Okay.
Is it?
So you're at the I'm just well, it's just like
you're like trying to figure out what my nerd factor is or how I nerd.
Well, I do like to know how you nerd. It's actually kind of fun. But you know me, I like to be able to visualize it so I can actually ask questions. So, okay, you're sitting at the table.
Yeah.
You're listening. Mm-hmm. And stuff like this comes up. And then do you just sit there and sort of giggle to yourself? That's just Megan. Yep, that's Megan. That's Megan. That's Megan. Yep, Megan. Oh. Do you ever do that?
No,
really?
Actually, I don't. No, not most of the time. There's a couple times that it's true that I would, for example, one of the things we were talking about it was one of the last episodes we did. We were talking about they talked about a possibility brain. What could it be? Those are the possibility brains are the ADHD brains, right? And we didn't say this in that podcast, but I have this thing highlighted and color. It looks like a little rainbow around it because I highlight stuff as I go along. I write it, in black, and then I make highlight on things that I want to bring up to you. But this one was when I make it 18 different colors, then it's usually you. It's oh, she's a total possibility brain. She can figure out, you did the other podcast, what could Larry the llama be? And it could be a mustache. It could be a unibrow. He could be an earring. He could be, and you could go on that. And that made me think of you. So the other ones, though, I think I'm curious about if you agree with or not. And that's what I was wondering.
Because you always read these things to me and then I just start giggling to myself in my own head because I'm just yeah, that's me. That's me too. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's also me.
But see, I don't experience life like you do, so I don't assume. I just am curious if it's does this, because sometimes I read stuff and you're no, doesn't make any sense.
That's true.
That's not been often. And mostly it's because I'm reading from people who themselves are ADHD, right? I'm reading their books and their experience with life, and you find some of it. You're not the one that's quiet, introverted one, right? You don't do that one. But
I have my moments. Don't get me wrong. I do have my introverted times, but not anymore.
So, okay, I want to go back to this, though, because I think it's interesting. ADHD is more about loss of interest and motivation than attention and concentration. So is that true for you? Does that make sense that you could define ADHD this way? Is that it's a loss of interest in something or a loss of motivation around it?
I think, the loss of interest. This is a great example, just right now, right? You're reading this to me and
you're losing
because
interest.
I struggle. Well, but let me explain though.
Not
it's
me as
not
a human.
You. Yeah, it's not personal. It is totally in my brain.
Yeah.
So you're saying this stuff. I have trouble, let's say with that phrasing. I really legitimately have trouble processing the phrasing that you're saying because I don't see it in my brain. So I'm trying to, when that happens, I lose interest because I feel that I don't understand it and I'm never going to understand it. So then I definitely for sure lose motivation to try to maintain on topic. Because I fundamentally don't get, because I was trying to think, I'm like, okay, so there was something about motivation and interest, but then the addition of like adding on the rather than, it put like too many thoughts into one sentence for me to grasp.
That makes sense. That's like the short-term memory piece, right? Like you're trying to keep all these components. So can we break it down maybe?
Yeah. So what's the first, like, so what is it? What, like, so let's do the first part of what it is.
Yeah. He's saying it's about this idea that people can't attend to things isn't really what it's about. It's not that you can't attend. It's that you lose interest. You lose interest or you're not motivated to keep your concentration, right? Like it's not like your fault necessarily that it's not it's that your brain doesn't grasp onto it for some reason. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Like, okay, the slide deck. You had great interest in it when you got to be creative and do it in a way that made sense to you. And as soon as somebody asked you to do it a different way,
oh yeah,
you lost interest altogether. Right?
I did.
Yeah. And so
I was like, great, why did I agree to this?
Right. Right. And like he's saying that there's this connection with your emotions, that something about it emotionally might have been connected for you. Like you lost interest in it for some emotional reason maybe. And it's so unconscious. It's so deep down. Like you don't even know, but it's that quit. It's that like, nope, I'm never going to get this done. I'm never going to be able to do it the way they think, or it's stupid and I would never agree to this, or it's like, I'm angry or something. Like there's some emotional connected to it is I think what they're trying to say.
Okay, so let me take a second and think about what that emotion was.
Okay.
So I send the thing off. I'm super excited.
Yep.
They send back and say, hey, can you revise? And then I'm looking at the screen and I'm thinking, this is such a waste of time. And I don't know if I can deliver it the way they want me to deliver it and also maintain my artistic integrity, which it's the military and I don't think they give a flying shit about my artistic integrity.
That's very true. Yes.
100%.
So, but they like the content because they asked you to add it in, but you weren't necessarily thinking that.
I wasn't thinking that's how the content would be delivered.
Right.
The content in my mind is the way that I set up the slides is that it was delivered in person. And so then I had to translate it from being in person to a set of slides, which I was finally able to do. But I think I was just so frustrated that I had to like box myself into someone else's needs. And I was like, oh, once again.
Right.
Once again.
So again, another quote from her book is from this guy, Joseph Ledoux, and he says, motivation is about emotion. Like just period. Motivation is about emotion.
Motivation is about emotion.
Yeah. So you feel defeated, you feel frustrated, and your motivation goes, pew, plummets.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't think that this is just for people with ADHD, by the way.
Yeah, I would hope.
But I think for people with ADHD, it's worse.
It's all the time.
And it's all the time. And you now have zero motivation to initiate this task. So the thing with this part of the book, which it's kind of like a little bit, I don't know, you got to get your head around it. So I'll break it down if I can, is that in order for you to motivate yourself to do this again, most people with ADHD are going to use some emotional
trigger.
And this is where it's called malicious motivation, because you're going to do something to get yourself going again. And usually you have to use some emotional technique. Okay. You have to use something to get your emotions.
Flap.
Yeah.
I think I have it.
Great.
My teeth.
Okay.
So We moved.
Of course. Yes.
That's why I flapped to you.
Yeah, no, it's good.
We're trying.
Okay, we're trying.
So we moved and I didn't have my normal dentist. And so I hadn't seen a dentist for like almost a year. It was crazy. So I finally go in and, getting it all done. And the lady was like kind of concerned because like my gums were starting to like get a little inflamed. And she's like, yeah, you're like getting close to gingivitis. And I was like,
oh my God.
Oh my gosh. And then she's like, yeah, but so I literally was like flossing and I was brushing and I was flossing and I was brushing and I was like, I can't have gingivitis.
Yeah.
No, because then the world's going to end and then my teeth are going to fall out and I am too vain to have nothing else but just some stubs. So I was like freaking out every time I would floss. I was like, I have to get the gingivitis out. I have to get the gingivitis out. Yeah. And then sure enough, like I got back and it was fine because like I just hadn't flossed I hadn't been maintaining the same way. But it took me like thinking that the world was going to end with my teeth for me to floss on a regular basis.
Yes. So it's like for sure this idea that these big emotions propel you to action. Big emotions are the thing that's going to get you to do the thing.
Because now that I know that my gingivitis is taken care of, like, do I floss every single night?
Right. No. You're like, oh, well, I'm done. I'm good now.
I'm fine, right? Like, I don't have to floss anymore.
So in this chapter, they talk about anxiety and the idea that, like, you're using this anxiety to get this task done. Mm-hmm. Because I think in general, like most people in the ADHD world agree, people with ADHD just have low motivation for everyday tasks. That's just like a common theme, right? So this everyday task.
Getting out of bed is like the hardest task of my day.
Talk to us about it. Yeah, tell us.
100%.
Yeah.
I am laying in bed and like this morning, I know that I have to pee. Okay?
Yeah.
I stupidly had like a giant thing of sparkling water like right before bed. And I also had like my 60-ounce water. So I had a lot of water in me.
Yeah.
And I'm laying there and like, I know I have to use the restroom. I'm like, I can feel it. But then I'm thinking to myself, well, I don't feel it so much. So I can stay in bed a little bit longer. It's not that bad yet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know I have to use the restroom. But I'm like, it's so comfy in my bed and I don't want to get up. And I don't know. I just like, I'm enjoying laying here with the pups and like, oh, but there's a daisy's on top of me. I can't get up, to the point where like, it's not until like literally it's like dribbling out of me that I'm like, I gotta go to the bathroom. And I was just like, okay, maybe I should have gone. And then I beat myself up like, maybe I should have gone. Oh, I should have gone before. But like, I didn't want to go. But like, now I have to go because like, there's just no point. Like,
there's no point. Not gonna be.
Getting old stinks.
Yeah. So, okay. And she says in the chapter this following thing, which I think is really funny. Because we have such difficulty getting things done. Okay. Like peeing apparently is one of them. We resort to some dirty tricks. Okay. Dirty tricks are avoidance, anxiety, procrastination, anger, shame, and self-loathing. Okay.
Check.
So you've avoided, because you're going to need, like her whole thing is like, you're going to need some big emotion to get you motivated to get out of that bed. So you've avoided. You're now having anxiety. You still procrastinated. Now you're angry that you have to get up.
I am. I'm like, man, if I just hadn't had all that watermelon, I would not have to get up right now. And I'm so upset. It's so true.
Okay, I'm going to go through these again, and then you're going to do a little skit, okay? Here in just a minute. But anyway, then there's shame. So you're like feeling bad. Like, God, why can't I just get out of bed? I'm now peeing myself. And then you're like in the bathroom, like, self-loathing, like, right? Okay. So let's just go through what this looks like for you. Okay. What does avoidance sound like in your head when you're laying in bed, Megan?
I don't really have to use the restroom. I know I feel it, but it's fine.
Okay, anxiety hits.
Oh no, but like what if I pee myself? What if it gets so bad? I did that before. No, I can't do that. Should I go to the bathroom? I don't know. Should I? No, but I want to lay in bed. I don't know.
Procrastination.
No. It's fine. You're fine. You know when it really hits. Like when it's bad. You're just going to enjoy the dogs. Just lay on them. Just be with them.
Okay. When does anger hit?
Why in the heck is my belly doing this? I shouldn't have to get out of bed. No. I got to get out of bed. Fine. I'll get out of bed.
And when does the shame hit?
Oh, I just totally piddled a little bit on the floor. I haven't even made it to the bathroom.
Oh my God. And when does self-loathing happen?
I totally waited too long, and if I had just gotten out of bed, I would not have to clean up my floor or know that I got pee on my Crocs. I am so ridiculous.
Oh my God. So I just love this. I did not expect that particular example because, of course, it always comes back to the bathroom with you.
To bodily functions. Because they're so funny. Farting is so funny, Michelle. Tooting is so funny. Like, it's all just hilarious
funny
to me. But it's so real. It's like, no matter who you are, everyone has to pee.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. You're male, female, like everyone probably can relate to this. And I think that's why I always bring it back.
I usually just get up. But yes, I understand.
You've never laid in bed so long that like you kind of piddle yourself?
No. Oh my God.
Am I just the weird one here?
No, you're not weird.
Does
anybody? Right.
Does anybody relate with me? Anybody in our community? Does anyone please? I need to feel seen. Or is it just like, no? This is a singular Megan. Sorry, this is not an ADHD thing. This is a Megan thing.
No, I'm sure. So I want to go back and dig in on this avoidance piece because I think it's interesting. I mean, you talk about it obviously with the most recent example, but also there was this moment of I want to dig in on the slides. Like you all of a sudden avoided this. You did 75% of the work and then you got this feedback and maybe it was almost like you felt like it was done and then you had more to do, whatever way. But
oh yeah, that's the worst.
What was the you were saying you felt frustrated. So then what happens? So if I get frustrated at work, I might, go, I'm going to come back to this tomorrow, okay, I'm feeling frustrated today, but I'm going to come back. And then I usually come back to it tomorrow. What happened for you?
Well, that's exactly what I do. I'm like, okay, I'm frustrated with it. I'll come back to it tomorrow. And then my butler goes on vacation. And he's like, well, sorry, I completely forgot about it. Yeah. And then I'll remember
and
to
if
do
Kayla's
it at the
sick,
most.
You're busted.
And Kayla's been gone for a couple of weeks. And I think that she's figured out that she's got other cool stuff to do.
Well, that's all right. We understand. She doesn't get paid.
It's all right.
So
she doesn't get
paid.
Yeah. She's a volunteer.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she still is in my mind because I'm still I
love
it. Look at stuff. I got to do things. But
Kayla was out. The butler was out. And now...
So now I'm really screwed. I'm 100% screwed. And I even have it on my little board. There's a little post-it note that says stress management slides. And I'm just I look at that and I'm just
stressing.
I know. Everyone was joking. They're like, man, you've been so stressed about these stress management slides. I'm like, I know. Box breathing. I don't think that's the right kind of box breathing. I think there is this part of it, when I feel like I've done something and then I have to redo it. And it's just I know how long it's going to take and I just don't want to do it. There's some beauty in the bliss of ignorance, when you don't really know how long it's going to take and you're just yeah, I'm jazzed up. Let's go do this.
Yeah.
And move that mountain. So, and
so
then
like the avoidance piece though, like what happens with that for you? Like you avoid / quit, you know, maybe Butler doesn't remind you.
Mm-hmm. I will see it. Mm-hmm. Yes. And I immediately, like I'll see, like, for instance, I see the Post-it, it's on my wall, and I instantly quit because it's just too, it's like, it's too big of a term, right? It's like vacuum. There's this whole other thing. Like really what I needed to do was take stress management slides and break it down into multiple Post-it notes that were actionable items that could be like, you know, a 1 or 2 minute quick action. Like just get just get your MacBook.
Yeah.
Open the MacBook and find the file, because I don't even know where the file's located at the moment. Find the file, right? And so going down to that specific thing. But I don't do that. I just have it like stress management, and I know myself. That's just the recipe for disaster for me, because like I'm just gonna look at it and be like, that's way too overwhelming. Quit.
And do you do other things during that time?
Well, yeah, I'm doing other work. Yeah,
but then like, do you find yourself, because part of what she said in the book was that like you'll do something else to help yourself feel productive.
Yeah,
but like you're not gonna do that thing.
Oh, 100. Yeah. Like I did everything else. I was like, oh, I came up with an idea for like.
Uh-oh, she's laughing.
No, because like you're like, why does it always come back to the bathroom? So I had this idea, like everybody goes into the urinals, right? Yeah. And so I thought, well, I could like have information for my programs, and then I would make like a little thing once a month, like or maybe like every couple of weeks, so there'd be a new like newsletter that they could read because they have nothing else to do. Well, they used to not have anything else to do in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And I would call it "You're in the Know." Oh my God. Trademark. I trademarked that. But I was like, you're in the know. That's hilarious to me. God. So I made up that instead of my stress management slides. Or like someone will say, hey, could somebody volunteer to do this? And I'm like, sure, I'll do that. Like, so I just volunteer for like all these different things. And I'm like, oh, I guess I have a lot of stuff on my plate that I shouldn't. I got one too many things going on.
Too many things. Okay,
all to avoid
I want to tell you this.
Slides.
Yeah, I want to tell you. Like, so she says, we don't want to think about the task that's making us emotionally uncomfortable or anxious. We temporarily shift our attention. This misdirection soothes our twitchy limbic system, calming our anxiety.
Twitchy limbic system? It really says that?
Yeah.
Whoa, I like actually twitch.
I know.
Mind blown.
So she's like, my sock drawer is usually incredibly clean around exam time. Like, you know, like whatever the other thing is, right?
Yeah.
So it's like we put it off because maybe we do not believe that we'll enjoy doing it, or we won't be able to do it well.
Yeah.
May use it when we're feeling confused by complexity of a task. Like filing taxes, she was saying. You might use this idea of avoidance when you're overly distracted or fatigued. And you might use it despite your best intentions. And I was kind of curious, you know, you just came up with a strategy that you said, like breaking things down, right?
Yeah, like the goblin tools.
Yeah. And I was wondering if there are any other tools you found. Like, do you ever think about it as what's the emotion behind why I'm not doing this? Does that like something that you think about often?
No. And you know me, like I'm super emotional, but yeah, I've never, and it's a really good point. Like I'm the queen of emotions and I don't think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be a really fascinating thing to kind of go through as I'm trying to understand this.
Yeah.
Huh.
So it's like she recommends like taking a quick break to analyze your thoughts. Like, why did I think this task was important? Is there a due date? What will happen if I don't complete it?
Yeah.
Have I scheduled a time to complete it? And if she's like, usually I will feel dread and argue with myself, but I don't want to do it. It's usually how I know I need to address my avoidance. Like, some way figuring out like, what is it that's stopping me from doing this? And I thought that was interesting.
That is really interesting.
I don't know if it would help.
It might. I mean, this is all, the stuff with work is like all new to me. Having to, like, I've started to get these great ideas and tricks in my home life, but I've not yet transferred them to my work life. So that could be really helpful.
I think one of the things that is interesting when I was reading through this was I can relate to this definitely. Like, it's not just, I don't think it's just an ADHD thing. I just think it's harder for you sometimes than it is for me. But I mean, there are things that, you know, I have to do. Like, I will tell you right now, I had to redo the syllabus and we needed to have it fit this certain, we hadn't done it, but I knew it needed doing. And I've avoided it probably for like over a year, that there was a template that we really needed to put it in. And there were things missing that we didn't have in our syllabus that we were supposed to kind of not necessarily legally have, but were suggested and stated as required for, you know, that we needed it for the university. And it was so hard to figure out how to do this. And part of it was I had so many years and people who had their hands on the original or on the document I was using. And I was reading through it and I kept getting annoyed as I was reading through it because I'm like, I would never say that, or that's not how it should be said. And then I'm like, but wait, I'm the director. Like, did I not read this? And I think, I thought I read it all the way through. And what, you know, did somebody put something in or did I not read? Anyway, there's a lot of emotion around it. And so it really was an avoidance thing. And I could relate to this very much of feeling like but I never thought to stop myself and go like, well, why are you feeling this way? And what finally worked for me was kind of taking a page out of your book of using the what is it, the revolution, the ADHD revolution concept, but I just body mirrored with a colleague who is great at all of this with Cheryl. And I said, Cheryl, I just need to book time with you until I get this done. I need an hour a day from you. And we honestly got it done. I think I asked her for that hour a day after. And the first thing I did when we were doing the syllabus together, I said, can I borrow you for like half an hour? And then like 3 hours later, I had like completely usurped her entire day and realized, okay, sorry. Next time I'll just I'll ask you to book your time. So I'm not taking over your day, but yeah. I needed it because I needed to ask questions and I needed to ping pong. I needed a sounding board for it. And I just wasn't going to be able to do it by myself. And sometimes I think there's also this expectation that we're supposed to be able to do all these things by ourselves. And especially if you're a one person or you feel you're a one person shop, and I'm not, for sure. I have a whole team around me, but there's still this idea that like, oh, I'm the director of the program. And so I should probably know how to do this, or I should have this down already. And so I related to some of the things that she was saying is that, I'm not sure that I'm going to get this done, or that I'm going to know how to do it, or that, I'm going to be able to complete this. Right. And it was interesting. So I really related to the avoidance one a lot. I didn't relate to it as like a technique I regularly use, but I understood. I mean, I don't that's not for whatever reason. But then I was thinking like, God, if every single thing in my life was like the syllabus, then maybe that would give me like a hundredth of an understanding of what your life is like. Right.
Well, and it happens. Yeah, it does happen with everything. You're saying that. And yesterday I was trying to fix Kayla's scorecard that idea that she got me where like I have to track these quick visits I have. And so I was like, okay, well, I have this like tracker online and it has all these different different tasks of things I have to track. And what are the ones that are the most common? And can I put them in a line? And so I'm kind of going through it and I realize like, I get to like, I don't know. It's been so hard for me to do it. And I've been avoiding it for for at least a good 3 weeks. And I know it's important for my job to be able to track this stuff. So I'm looking at it and I was just sitting with it and I found myself just like quitting and then I'd move on to something else for a minute, and then I try to come back to it, and then I quit again, and I just kind of was in that cycle all day yesterday. And I finally realized, I was like, okay, I'm looking at this, and I was like, there's something for like family readiness. And so they have like geographical family readiness. There's like these overall arching chapters, basically. So it's like geographical family readiness, and then a bunch of other stuff. And then there's personal family readiness, and then there's occupational family readiness. And I'm just like, where are we getting this geographical, occupational, like that was the part I was like, these all feel like they go in the same just family readiness. Like, why are we doing that? And then I realized, like, well, that means I have to then talk to my flight chief, who's in a completely different state, and ask her some questions, and then have her change it. But then I have to know like why she's going to change. So it's like, it just, to be able to make a change for me to understand it is like 12 different steps, and it's completely overwhelming of like which step is first, and how do I talk to the flight chief first? But if I don't have that information, then how can I talk to her? So like I just am going through it all, and I don't understand, like, and I feel like it's like literally most of my tasks are like that. I mean, like I get to the dishes, and like, you know, once it gets down to like I got to put my hands into some really gross stuff, like quit. You know, like that's disgusting. So it's like it's like I can get through like 75% of a task, but then it's like that last 25% is so hard. And I think you're right. Like there's emotions coming, and it happens with like everything. Yeah,
because emotions are so much stronger, right, for you as well. And I think this idea of quit, I just had this moment of when you said quit is avoidance. And there's different reasons. And I think that was interesting from this chapter. It's like, because you don't believe you'll enjoy doing this, right? Like that's your hands in the dishes, like dishwater. You like use it when a quit when you're confused by the complexity of a task. Sounds like that's what's going on with what's going on. You might use quit when you're really tired, or you're overly distracted, like you're overstimulated, you know, and I've seen that. We've experienced that together. And sometimes
our community has experienced that together in real time.
In real time. But this idea of like also just despite your best intentions, like you're not trying to not quit, but it's just, you know, you're just not in it for whatever reason. I think that makes so much sense, the quit now to me. That this is about avoidance, but the reasons, because you always talk about quit, and I'm like, but it's not always for the same thing. But now it's kind of clicking for me that there's a few reasons why you might quit. Maybe there's more than that even.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's making sense to me now that you're saying that out loud. Like, it's like, yeah, no, that checks. Like, it is a way for me to avoid and maybe come back to something, or just put it off. Because, like, also, let's be honest. I quit, and I have no... I have no way. No, that's not the right word. What am I trying to say? I quit, and I have no intention of getting back to it. That's what I'm trying to say. Because I'm just like, just shut it off. And you know what? If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, oh well, like, did it really matter? Did it? It's sort of like I quit with the slides, and it's like, well, somebody will tell me that I need to get it done. But then the crazy part, Michelle, is that with the slides, I got an email from somebody on Monday, and they're like, just a reminder of the slides. And I was like, I saw like the very first few sentences, and I just didn't. I quit. I did not listen to the next. I did not read the next one. And then another friend like messaged me and was like, hey, don't worry about the slide. And then I was like, I didn't even read through the whole thing. And then she messaged me and she's like, hey, are you tracking? And I was like, yeah. Sorry, I've just been wall-to-wall students. But then Thursday morning, my like HR guy is like, hey, so apparently you missed a deadline. And I was like, Oh, if I had read like one more sentence, I would have seen that it was close of business Wednesday, that they needed it. And I was like, so I was like, okay, I'm like, okay, let's go. And so I was like, So I was like, I'll get it right now. I'm
Yes.
like, no, Megan, you can't get it right now because you're only 75% done. So then I was like, okay, I gotta go. And I told him like, I'll be done with students at 1300 and then I will get it to you. But I was able to get to them at least by 1200, a little bit early, but it was still not on time. So I was like, but
Yeah.
I'm sweating just thinking about it.
So she says inconsistent interest plus big emotion. And the interest is like based on, right? Like you're just not, for whatever reason, you know, there's emotion behind it.
Yeah.
A big interest equals not getting things done. So inconsistent interest plus big emotions equals not getting things done. So you use these techniques, or people with ADHD will use these techniques to get the big emotion to gain interest back. Like,
Yeah.
so you're like setting yourself up. You need a fire. You need a 4-alarm fire to finish this thing. Like there's no other possible option.
What is it? Flap? Is it 4-alarm fire? Is it a 5-alarm fire? Like I keep saying it.
There's
what
like 6 or 7 alarms. I don't know.
Is it
well, I think there have to be more alarms for people with ADHD.
It's like alarm.
5-alarm. I think you're right.
5-alarm, 4-alarm. I don't know.
I don't know. We'll look it up, but I know that you need more if you're ADHD. That's what I know. It's like, because the first alarm isn't going to be enough. Second alarm, third alarm. You know,
seriously,
you got to have alarms.
That's how I
across
used
the
to
room.
snooze. That's how I used to snooze. Like, because I would like, it's like, I'm fine. No, I'm okay. But then I finally learned like, oh, if you snooze, it's like you're putting yourself back into REM cycle. You're like back into the whole sleep cycle again, which is why you wake up more tired. And I was like, oh, okay, fine.
Oh my God, fine. I'll just get up.
Fine.
But this is why she titles it malicious motivation, because I think it has some cost to you, right? Like it does allow to motivate you, but maybe it's not it might not be the only option or I can't do it again if I tried. If you're watching this on video, you saw that I just did a thumbs up on accident, and then Megan's got emotion or emojis or something that are.
But there was an emoji. Well, yeah, because there's a reaction
emoji.
We gotta turn off the reactions. I'll show you how to do that later.
Yeah, and so I think like one of the things I wanted to ask you about was, you know, if you were looking back on this, like, is there anything that you think might have helped you in that moment or not? I mean, I don't know. Like, is there anything when you're feeling yourself avoiding, like, I just don't want to do this? You know, is that a sign or a time or I don't know.
That's a good question. Let me think. What would have helped? See, I don't know what would have helped me because, like, it's hard to kind of figure that. I think unless there's somebody physically there who's checking in or, you know, being able to connect with, like, my ADHD group and being like, okay.
Struggle best on this one.
Yeah. I'm going to specifically say this is what I'm going to focus on.
Yeah.
And I had all those opportunities and I had all that potential. I have found that at work it's harder for me to get onto the ADHD group because it's like so driven by time. But like my job in a weird way, like while I am with the military, I can't. There's people who are always popping. Yeah, they're always popping in and out of my office. So like I can't control when I can have some downtime. So having like a specific thing there to help me is useful. But like, yeah, it's just like knowing when's the deadline. And then that deadline is sort of the only thing that really helps me right now. I started to do this though. Like, so for instance, like getting to my car, getting out of the house, to get out of the house on time, the procrastination is so real.
Yeah.
And you know this, like you saw me as a kid.
Yeah.
So now what I do is if I want to be out of the house by 9:15, let's say, or like, I don't know why I'm saying 9, but yeah, if I want to be out of the house at 9:15, I tell myself, okay, I need to leave at 9 because I assume I now kind of have built into this time frame. Like, okay, I'm going to leave at 9 because the act of leaving is not necessarily the time that I get out of the door and in the car.
It's not
because there's always it's like there's always something that goes on. So like I give myself that 15-minute time period of like, okay, this is how long it takes me typically once I've said I'm leaving the house. And I literally come back multiple times. It's about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Of like,
yeah, you get your steps in. That's all right. That's good.
You know, but like I've started to tell myself, okay, well, things are due on like a day before, like, or you know, like different times, like, so that I have that wiggle room to.
So for you, having somebody to say to somebody, when is this due?
Yeah.
And like asking that every time might be helpful too.
Yeah. And then this one was kind of weird because it was like, this was due back in like February.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. This thing was due back in February for something that's not going to happen until April.
Well, they just needed to not tell you when it was going to be used.
I know. Because I'm like, why? That pissed me off. I was like, why?
Just tell everyone, lie to me. Tell me it's due tomorrow. Just tell me it's due tomorrow. Just tell me.
But then but I found that there's other things that he wants to send this slide deck out with some other thing like a month ahead of time, and that's why he needs it. But I didn't know any of that. So I'm just like, why are you making me do this 2 months early? Plus, like, because that whole big visit that happened, that big distinguished visitor people, the guy who was like, yeah, it's due close of business today. And I'm like, okay, I'm trying to get it done. And then he's like, actually, you know what? We're okay because the visitor, it's going to take priority. Like, we'll push it back. So they kept pushing it back. So it felt like it was an arbitrary timeline. And at that point, I was just like, okay, well, they'll tell me when it's really due. Because, like, no one knows when it's actually due because they said it's due, but it's not actually due. So that's the worst thing you can do for an ADHD person is like change
give
the
them
timeline.
Some wiggle room. Yes.
Change the timeline multiple times. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Because then it was like, yeah, it's not a priority. It's fine. Like I'll get it done at some point, you know. Whatever.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm very curious if anyone in our community has had any luck with avoidance and like what they might use to help them, because I do think that it makes sense that you use it as a technique, but like if it's always a technique you're going to, it can be really bad for your limbic system.
Yeah, hence like me having massive twitching for like the longest time.
Yes, not fun.
I think there's also something to be said about honoring who you are and what your brain is useful for.
Yeah.
Because, and we can touch on this maybe a little later, but I want to just bring this up real quickly because, like, I think I was telling you before that I have been ticking and twitching a lot more ever since, like, this stuff has been going on with my job. Yeah. And then I was applying for this other job, and it's a storytelling narrative type of a job, and I had to, like, write a cover letter, and I made it all in narrative storytelling. It's totally not like a typical cover letter. And I just was like, the night that I was writing it, all of my tics stopped, all of my twitching stopped. And I just was like, yeah, this feels good. Like, this is where I need to be. I understand, like, not always can your job line up with these things, but like, I have to make sure that I'm not sacrificing that time and that I'm not avoiding that aspect of my life. Like, I need to make sure that, like, I'm getting stuff done at work, but that, like, I'm not avoiding the things that could actually help me and make me feel better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you're saying that, it made me think so much of what your brain naturally does is sort of that divergent thinking. We talked about this before, and your brain all day is being forced into this convergent linear thing. And so it's going to need to have that release, that break. And I was thinking about that actually with Josh, you know, with my child. Like, I mean, he's not a child. I mean, he's an adult person now, right? Like, just turned 18. But I think about it, like, he needs a break after school. Like, he's still finishing up high school. And so it's like, he needs a break afterwards because and I was kind of wondering, I'm like, oh, it makes sense. Everything's so linear that he's having to do all day long, you know, and follow somebody else's track, even if it's a divergent track. It's like not his track, right?
True.
Of where his brain wants to go. So I thought that was interesting. That you need to let yourself have that time where your brain just gets to go do whatever. And I love, like, you getting the housekeeper gives you time on the weekend to let your brain do what it loves doing, or naturally does anyway.
Yeah. She's coming next week.
Oh my gosh. All right.
So
well, stay
excited.
tuned to the outro because Megan talks all about her cleaning lady. You don't want to miss it. Oh, I love you, Meg.
I love you too, Michelle.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to the Spicy Brain Podcast, brought to you by Spicy Brain Studios. We're continuing our new series focusing around the book Your Brain is Not Broken. Your Brain is Not Broken, Strategies for Navigating Your Emotions in Life with ADHD by Tamara Rosier, PhD. We hope you enjoyed us navigating our neurodivergent brains through curiosity, joy, and radical acceptance. Hi, Kick. Please take a moment to share the episode with someone you think could benefit from the conversation because sharing really helps us continue building these episodes and creating better content every single day. Also, don't forget to follow us on whatever platform you're listening to so that you can get notified each week, because next week we are going to dive into anxiety. Yep. Also called the tyranny of the urgent. It's another little dirty trick that people with ADHD resort to get things done, just like me. So tune in next week to listen to us discuss this topic. But until then, here's to a great end of the week, and remember to stay curious. Done.
Hello, Megan.
Hello, Michelle.
Welcome to Spicy Brain Podcast. Where we are navigating neurodiversity with joy,
curiosity, joy, and radical acceptance. Woo!
Oh my gosh. Just a second. I'll be right back. So sorry.
Okay. No problem.
Right. My chicken's done. Okay, tell your little story about. I still have my ears in. I'm just going to go this way for a second. Nobody who's watching us is going to know, but can you tell us about your cleaning lady real quick? Because this is a big deal.
Yes, I will tell you about my cleaning lady, because now that I actually make some money, go figure, person with a master's in fine arts can actually make money at something. So, okay, I'm with the military, and we had this big giant visit where this like 3-star general was coming. And so I had to help with his spouse and set up their itinerary. And so the main commander's wife, like the big commander on base, I worked with her, and then she's like, oh yeah, no worries. Like, yeah, we'll have lunch at my house with her, and I'll just get my cleaning lady to come, and blah, 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 blah. I asked her, I was like, wait, you have a cleaning lady? Could you give me their name? Because I tried somebody and she was lovely, but like, it just wasn't great. And so then I got on her schedule and I tried to have her come like at least 3 times before she actually was coming. I kept thinking that she was coming like on a specific week. And then it was like, no, it was 2 weeks away. And then no, it was actually 1 week away. And I even said to her, like, hey, I'll see you today. And she's like, I'm sorry, but that's next week. And I was like, oh my gosh. So,
I'm so embarrassed.
I'm so embarrassed. So, but then she came and it was like, like, Michelle, this is the first week I have not had to weekend. I've not had to like think about cleaning my house. It was just like
amazing. Done.
It was done. Like, and I was like, it was so worth it. And she knows how to like fold the sheet. Like, she even made my bed for me. And she's like, but like, it was so amazing because like you get into the bed and your feet don't feel like they're trapped.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
I don't know what she does. She's a miracle worker.
You gotta ask her. You're gonna ask her. That's so good.
She's incredible. Like,
I'm so glad
it makes
for
me
you
emotional, Michelle.
Does it?
It makes me seriously emotional because it's just like it's one thing on my brain that I don't have to worry about.
Wow, and it's a huge thing, right?
Huge.
Yeah. We've been talking so much about organization and whatnot, and I think having this extra support just sounds beautiful. I remember when I had Josh and he was little, I had the most amazing lady who would come, and it just changed my life, because I just didn't worry about things that I felt were sort of my responsibility, even though I'm not sure they totally were just my responsibility, but it was the way it was. So I did feel like so happy and so relieved. So I can imagine that would feel that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think we're going to have to like introduce ourselves again, because I just realized this might be a good like outro, because we did not, by the way, at all set up or like welcome people. I just like went to my chicken. Sorry.
But we could just do it now. It's fine.
Well, I think it's probably good for us to have that beginning part,
Okay, so if you're listening to this, it was great. Have a wonderful weekend and stay curious, folks.
Stay curious.